You've been sold a dangerous lie. For years, you've been told that a calm mind is the ultimate prize in a well-lived life. You've seen the images of serene figures meditating on mountaintops, totally free from worry, and the message was clear. This is what you should be striving for. This is enlightenment. This is inner peace. But let's be real. You've tried. You've downloaded the meditation apps. You've sat on the cushion. You've focused on your breath. You've repeated the affirmations, tried to think positive, and attempted to banish every negative thought from your head. And yet, the storm inside is still there. That chaos of worry, anxiety, anger, and fear keeps churning just beneath the surface. And when you fail to achieve that picture-perfect, Instagrammable state of tranquility, a little voice whispers that you're a failure, that you're not spiritual enough, not disciplined enough, not good enough. That feeling of failure, that's the real poison, and it's born from a complete misunderstanding of what you are. So what if I told you that your inner chaos isn't a sign of weakness, but your greatest source of strength? What if that internal storm isn't something to be silenced, but something to be harnessed? Neuroscience and deep psychology are uncovering a profound truth. Your brain wasn't designed for constant tranquility. It's not a serene temple. It's a powerful, ancient, and beautifully complex survival machine. It's wired for adaptation, for solving problems, and for navigating chaos. Trying to find a perpetually calm mind isn't just unrealistic. It's a war against your own biology. Now, this doesn't mean the psychological state of inner peace, that feeling of balance, resilience, and acceptance, is a lie. It's very real. But the version of inner peace the modern wellness industry sells you, a fragile, effortless bliss where nothing ever bothers you, that is the lie. That's toxic positivity. That is spiritual bypassing, a dangerous attempt to float above the messy, complicated, and beautiful reality of being human. So today, we're going to tear that lie apart. We'll look at the neuroscience of why your brain is a chaos engine, explore the psychological reasons why suppressing your inner darkness only makes it stronger, and I'm going to give you a new framework. Not for finding peace, but for forging it. Forging it from the very conflict you've been taught to fear. His is the good news. You don't need to silence the storm. You just need to learn how to become the eye of it. To understand why the promise of constant calm is so messed up, we have to start with the hardware you're running on, your brain. Specifically, we need to talk about its number one job: survival. For hundreds of thousands of years, the human brain evolved in a world of immediate lethal threats. Predators in the grass, rival tribes over the hill, the non-stop search for food and shelter. In that world, a brain that was constantly calm and serene was a brain that was about to get its owner eaten. Your brain is, first and foremost, a threat detection machine. Deep inside, you have the amygdala, your brain's hyper-vigilant alarm system. It's constantly scanning your environment and your internal thoughts for danger. When it spots something, it pulls a fire alarm that floods your system with stress hormones like glucocorticoids, most famously, cortisol. This is the classic fight or flight response. Your heart rate jacks up, your muscles get tight, and your senses sharpen. It's a masterpiece of evolutionary engineering designed for one thing: handling short-term crises. It's what you need to fight a saber-toothed tiger or, preferably, run like hell from it. But here's the problem. Neuroscientist Robert Sapolsky, who spent decades studying stress, made a critical discovery. Your brain can't really tell the difference between a literal saber-toothed tiger and a metaphorical one. That looming work deadline? A heated argument with your partner? That notification on your phone that fills you with dread? To your ancient nervous system, these are all threats. They all pull the exact same fire alarm. Sapolsky's research on wild baboons showed that low-ranking individuals, the ones with no control, no predictability, and no outlets for their frustration, had chronically high levels of stress hormones. They weren't being chased by lions every day, but they were living in a state of constant, low-grade psychological warfare. Sound familiar? Modern life has basically become a baboon colony. We are bombarded with an endless stream of non-lethal psychological threats. The 24-hour news cycle, the curated perfection on social media, the relentless pressure to be more productive, more successful, more optimized. Each one is a tiny paper cut on your nervous system. And while one paper cut is nothing, 1,000 of them will leave you bleeding out. This is chronic stress. It's not a personal failure. It's a biological mismatch between your ancient operating system and the modern digital world. Prolonged exposure to cortisol is neurotoxic. It literally destroys neurons in your hippocampus, a part of your brain vital for learning and memory. It weakens your immune system, accelerates aging, and is directly linked to depression and anxiety. So when a wellness guru tells you to just let go of your stress or to choose happiness, they're showing a profound ignorance of your biological reality. Telling you to find permanent inner peace is like telling a security guard to stop looking for intruders. It goes against the very design of the system. Resilience isn't the absence of stress, it's the process of adapting to it. Your brain is built for this adaptation through a process called neuroplasticity, which allows it to remodel itself in response to challenges. Your brain isn't failing when it feels chaotic. It's doing exactly what it was designed to do: detect and respond to perceived threats. The chaos you feel is the hum of a powerful engine. The goal isn't to shut the engine off. The goal is to learn how to drive. If your biology is the what, the engine of chaos, then your psychology is the why. Why do our attempts to crush this chaos backfire so spectacularly? For that, we need to step out of the lab and into the world of deep psychology, specifically the work of Carl Jung. Jung gave us one of the most powerful concepts for understanding the mind: the shadow. Imagine a container. From the day you're born, you start learning which parts of you are acceptable and which aren't. Your parents, teachers, and culture show you the rules. Be nice. Don't be angry. Be quiet. Don't be loud. Be selfless. Don't be selfish. Every time you feel an impulse or a trait that you're told is bad, you learn to push it away. You disown it. That flash of anger? Shove it down. That flicker of fear? Pretend it's not there. That envy, that greed, that raw, untamed part of you? You lock it away in that container. That container is the shadow. It's the home for everything you have repressed, rejected, and denied about yourself. And here's the crucial, life-altering insight from Jung. The shadow doesn't go away just because you ignore it. In fact, ignoring it is like feeding it. The more you deny your shadow, the bigger, darker, and more powerful it gets. The modern wellness culture, with its relentless focus on good vibes only, is just a massive collective exercise in shadow making. It has become a form of spiritual bypassing, using spiritual-sounding ideas to avoid dealing with uncomfortable human feelings. We're told to banish negativity, to curate our emotions like we curate our social media feeds. This creates a culture of fake positivity, where authentic negative emotions are treated like a personal failing. But what happens when you try to live in a house where half the rooms are locked and boarded up? the pressure builds. A house that isn't integrated is an unstable house. Jung said that the shadow, when ignored, always finds a way to live. The most common way is projection. You start seeing the things you hate about yourself in other people. The anger you've denied in yourself suddenly makes you rage at the angry driver on the highway. The insecurity you've repressed makes you harshly judge a coworker's confidence as arrogance. Your own disowned shadow becomes the lens through which you see the world, turning other people into monsters so you don't have to face the one inside. This is where so much conflict comes from. It's not two people clashing, but their unacknowledged shadows. The second way the shadow gets out is through eruption. You spend all your energy holding the lid down on that container of chaos. You maintain a calm, collected, peaceful exterior, but your energy is finite. Then, a stressful day at work, a minor inconvenience, a thoughtless comment, and the lid blows off. The shadow erupts, and you find yourself doing or saying things that feel completely alien to you. This is the moment you scream when you wanted to be patient, or you sabotage a good thing because a hidden fear grabbed the steering wheel. When you feel that inner chaos, that eruption of anger or anxiety, it's often the voice of your own exiled parts, screaming to be heard. The pursuit of a shallow inner peace based on suppression is the very thing that guarantees you'll eventually be consumed by an inner war. The goal, as Jungian psychology shows, isn't to kill the shadow. That's impossible, and it's not even the point. The goal is integration. It's about turning around, walking to that locked door, and having the courage to open it.
If this is starting to reframe how you see your own mind, and if you're recognizing that pattern of suppression and eruption in your own life, then you're in the right place. This is the real work. And if you want to keep exploring the intersection of deep psychology and practical strength, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell. We go deep on this stuff, moving past the shallow answers to find what truly builds a powerful and authentic life.
Let's get practical and dismantle the very tools you've been given that might be making the problem worse. First, let's talk about meditation and mindfulness. These are incredibly powerful practices, but the mainstream versions have often been dumbed down and sold as a spiritual tranquilizer. So many people start meditating with the goal of stopping their thoughts to achieve a blissful mental silence. But trying to stop your thoughts is like trying to flatten the ocean with your hands. It's a pointless struggle that only creates more tension. True mindfulness isn't about suppression. It's about acceptance. It's the practice of observing your thoughts and feelings without judgment. When anger arises, the mindful response isn't "go away, anger." It's, "Ah, there is anger. Interesting." You aren't trying to get rid of the wave. You're learning to surf it. The problem is that pop culture mindfulness often gets misinterpreted as another tool for avoidance. It gets stripped of its depth and becomes a way to disengage from life rather than engage more fully with it. Second, let's tackle positive thinking. Again, there's value in gratitude and having an optimistic outlook. But there's a huge difference between authentic optimism and toxic positivity. Toxic positivity is just denial. It's putting a smiley face sticker on a gaping wound. When you're feeling real grief and someone says, "Everything happens for a reason," that's not helpful. It's invalidating. When you force yourself to just be positive in the face of legitimate pain, you aren't healing. You're engaging in spiritual bypassing. You're telling a huge part of your human experience that it's not welcome. You are actively feeding your shadow. True emotional health isn't about feeling good all the time. It's about getting good at feeling everything. This brings us to the core lie you've been sold: that your only two options are fragile calm or destructive chaos. That's just not true. Neuroscience shows us that resilience isn't the absence of a stress response, but a more efficient and adaptive one. Resilient people don't have less chaos. They have a better relationship with it. Their prefrontal cortex, the logical problem-solving part of the brain, is more active during stress, allowing them to navigate the storm with more skill. Real psychological peace isn't an absence of activity. It's a state of balance. Think of a skilled tightrope walker. They aren't perfectly still. They're in a constant state of dynamic adjustment, making tiny corrections to stay balanced over the void. They are engaged, focused, and intensely alive. They aren't at war with gravity. They're in a dance with it. That is strength. That is true peace. It's not the absence of a challenge, but the ability to meet it with inner balance and competence. So, if chasing calm is a trap and suppressing chaos is a disaster, what do we actually do? We stop fighting and start integrating. We stop trying to be peaceful warriors and instead become masterful navigators. This requires a new set of skills built on 4 pillars. Pillar 1. Acknowledge and name the beast. The first step is always to make the unconscious conscious. This starts with radical, unflinching honesty. When you feel a surge of rage, the old way is to clamp down and say, "I shouldn't feel this." The new way is to pause, breathe, and state the fact. There is anger here. Name it. Don't judge it, just name it. When you feel that cold grip of anxiety, don't run for a distraction. Acknowledge it. Anxiety is present. This simple act of naming is incredibly powerful. When an emotion is just a churning chaos inside you, it feels infinite and overwhelming. But giving it a name externalizes it. You create a little space between you, the observer, and it, the emotion. It's no longer a monster that has consumed you. It's a thing in the room with you that you can now look at. Labeling your emotions actually helps calm the amygdala's fire alarm and engage your prefrontal cortex, shifting you from pure reaction to observation. Pillar 2. Get curious, not judgmental. Once you've named the beast, get curious about it. Your whole life you've been taught to judge these feelings. Anger is bad. Fear is weak. Sadness is self-indulgent. That judgment is the fuel for repression. We're going to swap judgment with curiosity. Instead of, "Why am I so angry? I'm a terrible person," you ask. "Why is this anger here? What's its purpose?" Ask it questions, like a detective at a crime scene. What boundary was just crossed? What value is this anger trying to protect? What is it afraid will happen if I don't listen? This is the heart of shadow work. You start to see that these so-called negative emotions are not your enemies. They are messengers. Anger is often a guardian of your boundaries. Fear is a protector of your safety. Sadness is a testament to what you loved. When you get curious, you start to decipher their messages. You transform your relationship with your own mind from a battle into an alliance. You're no longer a soldier fighting an internal war. You're an explorer mapping your own inner world. Pillar 3. Controlled demolition, harnessing stress. Let's go back to neuroscience. Since stress is biologically inevitable, the path to strength isn't avoiding it, but getting better at moving through it. You do this through controlled, intentional exposure. Think of it like lifting weights or getting a vaccine. You don't build muscle by sitting on the couch. You build it by introducing resistance, a weight that's heavy enough to challenge the muscle but not so heavy that it injures it. In psychological terms, this means intentionally taking on manageable challenges. Have that difficult conversation you've been putting off. Set that boundary you've been afraid to enforce. start that project that feels just a little bit out of your comfort zone. Researchers call these eustressful experiences, controllable stressors that build your capacity to handle bigger, unexpected stressors in the future. Every time you face a small chaos and navigate it, you are proving to your nervous system, we can handle this. You're building evidence of your own competence. This sense of agency is one of the most powerful antidotes to the toxic effects of chronic stress. You are literally rewiring your brain for resilience. Pillar 4. Redefine peace as competence. This brings us to the final, crucial shift. You must change your goal. Your goal is no longer to feel calm. Your goal is to feel competent. The deepest, most unshakable sense of well-being doesn't come from an empty mind or a life free of problems. It comes from the bone-deep knowledge that you can handle the problems that come your way. It's the confidence that comes from having weathered storms before. It's the self-trust you build by facing your shadow and discovering the hidden strengths it held. This new kind of peace isn't a fragile thing that shatters at the first sign of trouble. It's durable. It's anti-fragile. It actually gets stronger when tested. This is the peace of the seasoned sailor who respects the power of the ocean, but trusts their ability to navigate it. They don't expect the sea to be calm. They expect themselves to be skilled. This is the peace that comes from integration. It's the wholeness that arises when you stop fighting yourself and start embracing all of yourself. The light and the dark, the calm and the chaos. For too long, we've been chasing a ghost. The ghost of a perfect, perpetual calm. This chase has caused immense suffering, making us feel broken for having a brain that is working exactly as it should. It has taught us to fear the very parts of ourselves that contain our greatest power. The truth is, your brain is not a serene temple. It's a forge. And in a forge, you need 3 things: fire, a hammer, and something to be shaped. The inner chaos you feel, the stress, the anger, the fear, that is the fire. The work of integration, acknowledging, getting curious, facing challenges, that is the hammer. And you, your character, your resilience, your very soul, that is what's being forged. You can't have a sharp sword without fire and a hammer. You can't have a strong mind without stress and conflict. So stop trying to put out the fire. Stop trying to silence the storm inside you. Instead, learn to be the eye of that storm. Calm, capable, and in control. Not because the chaos is gone, but because you have finally realized that you are bigger than the storm. That isn't a lie. That is true power.